The next big thing that happened was coming back home to Rhode Island, getting together with my friends, and we just wanted to share what happened to us with those that were around us. So we started to find other younger Christians that we were meeting, and we started to put together what became a street ministry. There was a syndicated radio show out of upstate New York, and someone helped us to make that available on local radio in Rhode Island. And we had rented a house where we had some telephones, and people could call in if they had problems, if they wanted prayer. And every night we would sit by those phones, and every night people would call. Sometimes people wanted to take their lives, and we could pray for them and help them to find answers for their problems and see God do wonderful things. It was very exciting. And that little group of young people began to grow and to grow and to grow. And even though we really didn't know that much about Jesus and the Bible, what we did know, we shared with others. And suddenly on a Saturday night, we rented the back hall of a social club. And we'd have up to 80, 90, 100 young people coming together to pray and to sing songs and to share our faith with one another. It was a very exciting time. And at the same time, all the members of the band of Doc Star, one by one, had made a personal experience with Jesus. And we found ourselves in a position where we could put the band back together, but this time for a different purpose. This time it wasn't to be rich and famous. This time it was to share our faith and what we had experienced with others through the music. So we get together at Michael and Shayna's house. Michael and Shoshana went from a romantic relationship to getting married. So they were the first couple of my close friends that had gotten married. And we would be at their house all the time. And every time we'd be together, we may be writing songs, practicing, praying together, studying the Bible together. Very often someone would call, and I just happened to answer the phone every time. And I heard this wonderful British kind of accent English. Hello, this is Mariana. Is Shoshana there? And I got fascinated with this person's voice. And one day I said, Shoshana, who's this person that's calling you? She said, well, when I was in Munich, Germany, Richie had a friend called Mariana, and he wanted me to meet her because he thought we would get along very well. And when we met, we got along real well. But after I became a Christian, she told me, she said, I started to write to Mariana just like I was writing to you when you were in LA. And something happened in Mariana's life, and she's now become a Christian, but she doesn't know anybody else in Munich that's her age that maybe she could relate to. So she calls me just so she can talk with me for a few minutes and share her faith and her experience because she didn't feel like she had anybody there that would understand her. So I said to Shayna, hey, listen, the next time she calls, tell her I want to talk to her. So the next time that Mariana called, Shoshana said, hey, John is the one that's been answering the phone. He'd like to talk to you. He'd like to meet you. She said, well, put him on the phone. So I said, hi, I've never talked to anybody in Germany before. And Mariana's thinking, hey, this phone call's costing me a lot of money. If you want to say something, say something. And the next thing that jumped out was, hey, I have to be honest with you. If you look half as good as you sound, I got to meet you. And she thought, is this guy a Christian? But I really meant it. Her voice fascinated me. I didn't know at the time she was an actress. I didn't know that her voice was her instrument, was the way she could share with other people her gift. But it fascinated me. Well, a few months later, we're happy, we're growing in being a Christian, we're playing concerts and coffee houses, sharing our faith with other people. Mariana visits us in Rhode Island. And I remember meeting her for the first time, and I had no idea, but that time that I talked to her on the phone, she sensed the Lord speak to her. It was so real for her that when she first met me, she was shocked because what she heard was, you just talked to your husband. And when she met me, she thought, this can't be God's plan. He's not my type. I don't even really like him. And so the whole time she was there, and she was only there for a few days, she wasn't very nice to me. And I didn't understand why she wasn't very nice. And I really wasn't trying to spark up anything else but other than a friendship with her. But when she went home back to Germany, she knew in her heart God was about to do something. She asked God in prayer, what do I do? And the answer that she got was kind of funny. He said, don't do anything. Watch me do this. So a few weeks later, after she left, my friend Michael said, hey, I took some pictures when Mayana was with us here and we were all together. You want to watch them? And back in those days, Michael would take the pictures and he put them on slides. So, for those who don't understand, a slide, you needed a projector and you had a big carousel and you put all the slides in it and you project that on the wall, kind of like a still movie. So we're sitting in Michael's living room, and Michael and Shoshana, and the room is dark, and we're looking at these pictures from that weekend when Mayana was there, and suddenly a picture comes on the wall. And I know we were standing in a group of people, but Michael took a picture of just Mayana and I standing together, almost kind of leaning into each other. The second that picture came on the wall, I sensed God speak to me so clear. It was so real. He said, John, that's your wife. And I was like, what? And in that moment, the bulb in the projector blew out. The room was in darkness. I'm sitting in shock thinking, what's going to happen now? After that, I never talked to anybody about it. But I went to God in prayer. Lord, what is this? And what I got in my heart was the same thing Mayana had gotten. Don't talk to anybody. Don't try to do anything. Watch how I put this together. So the weeks go by, even months go by, and now 4 months later, Mayana comes to visit again. It's the beginning of the new year. I guess it's 1979. January of 1979, and we all went to the airport to visit her. Back then, you could go right up to the gate. It's not like it is today with all the security. You could just, whole group of us went right to the gate. She got off the plane. We met her right at the gate, and I'm very nervous because in my heart for the last 3 or 4 months, I know God has a plan for her and I to be together. I have no idea if she knows anything. I hadn't talked to anybody about it. Mayana gets off the plane. I look at her, she looks at me, and I know that she knows. 2 hours later, we're sitting alone in Michael and Shoshana's living room, and I told her, I said, this is what happened when I saw that picture of you and I standing together. And she looked at me and smiled, and she said, well, if you knew, why did you wait so long to ask me? Believe it or not, in 2 hours, we were engaged. And that was over 40 years ago. We got to know each other real well in the coming months. Mayana had to go back to Germany. She had her first professional contract as an actress. She was performing in West Side Story in a city called Hagen in northern Germany. And so we would write to each other. In the beginning, we called each other, but that got real expensive. We had no idea how expensive it was back then to do phone calls. So we started to write letters and we started to speak into cassettes. And believe it or not, I have all those cassettes, but I'm not letting anybody hear them until I'm already in heaven. I told my kids, you can hear this when I'm not here anymore. But we would talk to each other, share what's in our hearts, talk about our future. And it was amazing. We both wanted the same thing. And we really weren't sure exactly how that was going to come to pass, but we both wanted to know the plan of God for our lives and to live our lives together and share our faith with others with whatever God would have us do. And it really didn't matter. So 5 months later, we got married on June 1st, 1979. We had a civil wedding in Munich. And then a few weeks later, back in America, we had a church wedding with all our friends and all our family gathered together. At this point, we just started to grow as a couple, grow as a family. We had a nice rented house from Michael's parents. We rented his grandparents' house. His grandparents had passed away. So we were living in our own house. My father had given us a Chevrolet, so we're driving a big Chevrolet. I'm working for a construction company, believe it or not. And while I'm working, I'm always having opportunity to study. There was something I didn't understand. But in those early years, I just wanted to study the Bible. I wanted to know about God's Word. I would read the Bible every day. I had no idea that God was preparing me for the next big change in my life.